So today we're going to be working on the Lamborghini Civic. We will be replacing the front bumper with the eBay one.
Painted. Yeah.
He bought it online and then had it painted locally. We're also going to be installing actual fog lights. He bought a kit for that, and we'll see how it goes.
I swear.
He also bought the fog lights on eBay. So, the first thing we did was pull off the wheels so we can get access to the inner fender wells. We're going to be taking some bolts out here. We're not there yet. We're not sure which ones yet. We also popped the hood. That's going to be in a separate video. And Maaco's beating the shit out of his own car. So let's get started. We're going to pull off this cowl right here. We had a couple push pins. And just pop those out with the Jesus tool.
This is the Jesus tool.
The Jesus tool by Snap-on. Sponsored by Jesus. Promoted by Jesus. Okay, Maaco, what's next?
So we gotta unscrew these two. They look like what are these, hex?
Yes, they are hex bolts. We got, looks like 2 hopefully. And I think that's actually part of the bumper, isn't it? No, oh, it's part of the grill.
We gotta remove everything here, yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna take those out and see what happens. The next thing we'll need to take off is these push pins. We'll probably take off both, the ones on the front towards the bumper and the ones on the back. That's what holds it underneath. And then following that, we're gonna get some screws that go down up into the fender.
Okay, so after you remove those clips on the bottom, you'll notice your bumper's loose. And everything is going great until right here, and you have a Phillips on the underside fender well. So what you gotta do is remove that on both sides. And you will notice how much more loose this bumper gets, so it's a lot easier for you to take apart.
Here in Aka's garage, we like to work like the cavemen used to work, using screwdrivers and hand tools only.
Cavemen?
He spent about $1,000 in Milwaukee tools, just so he looks like a professional.
Loosen up a bolt.
So then, you just want to give it a good yeet, and it just, keep in mind this is the old bumper, so we're not replacing it. Ako, how'd you get it up?
You see what I mean?
Aka's the certified Honda tech. Certified Honda user. I forgot the push pin. Got it.
Swift, you got that one.
And that's how you remove a 2008 Honda Civic front bumper.
Bug collection back here.
The next thing we'll be doing is basically assembling the new bumper. We're going to put the fog lights in, we'll put the grill in, and a couple of the other pieces that we'll have to transfer over from that old bumper. So we're going to be putting the upper grill on. We just transferred over the emblem. It doesn't come off easy. We ended up just double-siding glue. We're using double-sided tape on it. Basically just line these tabs up. They go right through the bottom. And then there are push pins on the back holding it in. They run all along this edge. And it's a little flimsy, but you got the other 2 bolts up top that'll hold it in once you get it on the vehicle. Okay. Next thing we're gonna do is gonna be put the lower grill on. This one just snaps in. You got clips running along the top and the bottom. Simply just pop it in. Look at that. Look at that. So easy. Piece of cake. We weren't doing this for 30 minutes. And then that's how you scratch the shit out of your newly painted bumper. The next step is to install the new fog lights. There's 2 tabs on the back. They slide into the bumper, and then there's a bolt up here. You want to be careful so you don't scratch your paint.
Okay, yeah, you do this, bro.
This guy. I am very careful at scratching Aka's car. Got it. Just shove it in.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, bro.
Did this come with bolts?
I don't know. But you can tell I'm trying to focus on the
Dude, you should watch the video instructions that I just said. If your bumper's painted, these holes that these are supposed to slide into will be filled with paint. So it may take a little bit of force. Okay. There you go. There's a bolt that goes up here, which we have not located yet. This is a 10 mil bolt that goes through the back to hold the fog light in. But here in Bullcrack Garage, we work like cavemen, and we will be using a screwdriver. Right, Akko?
See.
Okay, that's that. There's that hole back there where this rubber grommet went. It goes right into the fender well. What we did is we're gonna run the wiring through there. So I pulled the rubber grommet out, and now if you're going through the fender well,
Where he just showed you where to go, you actually have to pull down your fender well. And I just broke a clip. What you see is this hole right here where his finger is basically. See that?
yeah, that's my finger. Can you pull it? Oh, there it is.
Oh
there
my
it is.
God.
Yep, that's the hole. So that's where we're gonna run the wiring into the car. So here's the wiring. There's a relay here. This plugs into the button, the green connector. And we ran the fog light connectors right in between the condenser and the crash bar. What we're gonna do is we're gonna first run this through that hole that we just showed you.
What just came out, bro?
Can you?
What clip is that? I'm just gonna reach my hand in there and grab it.
Yeah, grab it and then pull it out.
Okay, so keep running it. You'll find it going in. I can't really show you really well. It's too tight. But you can reach your hand in this gap where the headlight's at, and one person has to pull it in. You can grab onto it with your two main fingers, and then.
Hold on.
And then
I'm in. My fingers, they're. I can only fit one finger in.
It's alright. Let me throw it in.
Can you throw it in?
Yeah. I just dropped it.
Can you shoot the gap? Oh, there it is. I
Okay.
got both my fingers on it. The hole is very tight, but you can get both fingers in. Boom. There's a connector. So now the next thing we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to run it up to here, and this is where the fog light switch will go. We will have to figure out how to pull this out and run that connector all the way up there through the inside of the dash. We're trying to mount this relay. I think where we're gonna try to mount it is right next to this module. So what we're gonna do is take off the battery cable. Probably should have done this the first step of that tutorial. So we're gonna move that out of the way so that we could run the relay underneath it and the wiring. Now Akko's gonna safely and securely secure
Zip tie.
the zip tie.
Okay, so that's in there, as you can see. Now what I'm gonna do is just cut off the rest of this crap because I don't like that hanging around. But that is planted, that's nice and safe in there. I might just tape this area off right here just so when I do power wash my engine, nothing will get effed up in that area.
Now we're trying to run this wiring down through so it can get to the fog lights. We're gonna try to run it right in between the radiator and the radiator support. We're gonna try to keep it as far away from the radiator to keep it from having any heat damage.
We moved this out of the way or up towards the battery and stuffed it back here.
The washer reservoir.
So,
Okay, so we're gonna take this bracket off.
oh, he just stripped the fuck out of my head.
What? Your battery's dead, Akko.
Yeah, it's a battery.
Nothing works around you, I swear, man. Okay. Pull that off. Then worry about where your bolts are later. So, gonna go. We're going through right next to the battery.
So there's that gap now.
Hold on, there you go. Okay. You don't want to tighten it too much, so that way it's not catching on anything. Now we're going to make sure the fog light wiring can reach the fog lights, and we're also going to make sure that the wiring works before we fully put everything into place and button everything up and zip tie everything. We put the blanket over there so we don't scratch the paint. Lift it up and just kind of prop it up there.
I've never been so excited for my Honda, bro. The new front end, baby. I want to see what it looks like on camera.
Okay, it's plugged in. So I'm gonna try to turn them on, see if they work. Are they on?
See.
Yeah, it's very good. Off, on, off. Okay. So now that we know it works, we can go ahead and button everything up and put it in permanently. So now we're putting on the new bumper. After the test fit went okay, we saw what we had to adjust and change. We ended up having to basically get some slack out of the left fog light wire so that way you could reach. We also ended up changing the eyelets for the battery connectors. We ended up re-crimping them so that way they could fit on the stock clamps. And then, yeah, so we're gonna go ahead, put that on, clip everything in, and then zip tie the harness down so that way it doesn't chafe or rub through on anything. This part? Yeah, me too.
Snapping it back in.
Okay, hold on, don't try to stretch too much. Your fitment. Go on this side so I don't block the camera. Also, go ahead again and like kind of pull it. So you want to be careful when you go to push it in that this lines up nicely, otherwise you'll pinch it. There we go. Next we're just going to go ahead and fasten the wiring harness that we just put in underneath the bumper for the fog lights. You just want to make sure that that's secured and that's not going to go anywhere. The next step is to put all the push pins underneath the vehicle that go from the bumper to the little skid plastic pan, the oil drip pan. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. All right, so apparently these old push pins don't line up exactly. We got about like maybe 10% that do line up. So what we're gonna do, we will tuck this piece that clips into the radiator fan, or the radiator shroud kind of. This piece right here, we're gonna tuck it underneath the piece that goes on the bumper so that way it can't slip out because it is fastened back here by the original push pins. Okay, hold. I'll pull this and you, there we go, come on. See, so that way when the debris and wind hits it,
I can kind of now see it.
Yeah, so this way it like overlaps like this, rather than being the other way and possibly catching on something. That might have been the way it should have been the whole time. Oh, it lines up now?
Yeah.
Well, it lines up there, but it doesn't line up here by the fenders.
Bro, right here. Oh yeah, not by the fenders.
Yeah, by the fenders it doesn't line up, but it kind of seems to line up right here in the middle. The next thing is just put the two screws that go from the bumper to the fender back in.
While he's doing that, I'll be up here putting my front grille back into those two spots that you saw at the beginning. Always do that. Good shit.
Next, we're just gonna pop this trim piece back on. It goes underneath the latch, unlike Aqua is putting on right now. Get this piece under here.
It's nothing.
It will fit. It will ship and it will fit. There we go. See? It's all about that mint fitment, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you know this, but Hondas are held together by
Push pins.
push pins. No, they're not push. No, we don't tell them about the zip tie. Now we have to basically feed this switch wire all the way up to here, but we have to get this off to figure out how to pop this little storage space out. Looks like you just pull this. There's little clips in the back that hold it in, so that just pops in. Now it looks like we got 2 Phillips or just 1 Phillips screw right here holding it in, and then it looks like this should come off. Okay, now we'll see. Ooh, that came out nice. Oh, wow. That is more than I expected. Apparently this whole radio piece wants to come out too. We're basically gonna try to just pull it out as far as we can so we could get behind here. I put a blanket on top of the steering wheel and the steering wheel shroud so that way we don't scratch it. Okay, I'm going up. There's a connector here for your instrument cluster right at the back that I'm gonna disconnect, and I think that's as far as we'll go. I think it looked like a couple Phillips bolts or screws. We're gonna go ahead and take those out. You gotta make sure you dislocate your top vertebrae to get to this bolt. I dropped it.
Yep.
I dropped it. It's gone forever.
Deep-sea.
So this is what the back of it looks like. Here's a new piece. You put it in. No, I know said that it was the light was blinding the camera, so now he chose to blind me, and I have to work in the dark on top of being blind. By the way, if there are any single subscribers out there interested in that guy, he's got a 6 Civic. If you can deal with the noise.
If you can deal with the noise, you're getting your wedding ring, yo.
So it's time to run the wiring loom through. It actually looks relatively easy. I'm just gonna run it up here. I'm just gonna feed it through, up and around this loom. This loom will keep it in place. So this white connector is for your instrument cluster controls, your trip, your settings. And then this new green connector that we just fed through is for your newly installed fog lights. And as you can see, it'll reach perfectly fine. So we're gonna go ahead, pop the dash panel back into place, and then pick up from there. We're gonna take this grommet that we took out that went through the fender for the wiring. I already drilled a hole in it. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut a little slit in it. We're gonna just use a blade and cut a notch in it without cutting your hand. So what we did is I just cut a hole in it and then cut a slit in it so we can just go around the wiring and clip it in and then push it back into place so that way the wiring doesn't rub through anywhere. Let's do it. Okay, so this is where the loom goes through and into the fender. This is our grommet that I cut a slit on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide it over just like that, and then right into the middle and try to close that. And then we're gonna try to push it all the way through into put the grommet into place just like that. There you go. It'll look like that, and that ensures that the loom won't rub through. Okay, so the last thing is just popping this trim piece back in. Want to make sure it all nicely seats, clips in, looks nice and flush, works. You have a nice little indicator here that turns green when you turn it on. The only thing that I don't like is that it's got a little LED, and that I think will stay always lit because we wired it up to the battery. So in the future we may have to wire it to a ignition only wire so that way it doesn't drain the battery. But other than that, we'll see how it works out, and if we have to do that, we will. replaced his bumper with a eBay Civic SI bumper. We installed and wired up the fog lights. The switch was nicely ran up to the left side of the steering wheel, and it went pretty smoothly. Turned out pretty good. I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I think this thing 10 out of 10. The install was actually pretty straightforward. It wasn't too hard, but then again, we've had experience with ripping off bumpers and putting on a lot of other stuff. The next goal for this is to clear bra it, so in the future it stays looking as sharp as this. Thank you guys for stopping by. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe, because, you know, we're kicking ass on these videos lately, and we're pulling out some really good memes.
We are.
Just memes, bro.
Lots of memes and skedaddle. Skedaddle!